شغلة حلوة يعني يكون عندنا شيء. في عندي بالكورس تاعي، في الكورس تاعي لو ندخل على الكورس اللي بتحبه ونتفرج على في فيديو بدي اشوفه مع بعض، خلينا نشوفه مع بعض، اللي هو افكار تستحق النشر. مكتوب عليه افكار تستحق النشر، شايفينها؟ المقالات المطلوبة للاختبار، معناته هاي المقالة مطلوبة للاختبار يا هلا، اللي افكار تستحق النشر. طبعا نمشي مع بعض والله، نطلع عليه وبعدين نحكي ترجمة، فالصوت مش أساسي صراحة. إذا نخليك أنت على الشات معه.
I'm Rich Baranek, and what I'd like to talk a little bit about today are some ideas that I think have just tremendous resonance with all the things that have been talked about the last 2 days. In fact, so many different points of resonance, it's going to be difficult to bring them all up, but I'll try to do my best. Does anybody remember these? Okay, so these are LP records, and they've been replaced, right? They've been swept away over the last 2 decades by these types of world-flattening digitization technologies, right? And I think it was best witnessed when Thomas was playing the music as we came in the room today. What's happened in the music world is there's a culture or an ecosystem that's been created that if you take some words from Apple, the catchphrase would be create, rip, mix, and burn. What I mean by that is anyone in the world is free and allowed to create new music and musical ideas. Anyone in the world is allowed to rip or copy musical ideas, use them in innovative ways. Anyone is allowed to mix them in different types of ways, draw connections between musical ideas, and people can burn them or create final products and continue the circle. And what that's done is it's created, like I said, a vibrant community that's very inclusive, with people continually working to connect musical ideas, innovate them, and keep things constantly up to date, right? Today's hit single is not last year's hit single, okay? But I'm not here to talk about music today. I'm here to talk about books, okay? In particular, textbooks and the kind of educational materials that we use every day in school. Has anyone here ever been to school? Okay? Does anybody realize there's a crisis in our schools around the world, okay? I hope, okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but what I want to talk about is some of the disconnects that appear when an author publishes a book that, in fact, the publishing process, just because of the fact that it's complicated, it's heavy, books are expensive, creates a sort of a wall between authors of books and the ultimate users of books, be they teachers, students, or just general readers, okay? And this is even more true if you happen to speak a language other than one of the world's major languages, and especially English. And I'm going to call these people below the barrier shutouts, because they're really shut out of the process of being able to share their knowledge with the world. And so what I want to talk about today is trying to take these ideas, right, that we've seen in the musical culture and try to bring these towards reinventing the way we think about writing books, using them, and teaching from them. Okay? So that's what I'd like to talk about, and really how do we get from where we are now to where we need to go. So the first thing I'd like you to do is a little thought experiment. So imagine taking all the world's books. Okay, everybody imagine books. And imagine just tearing out the pages. So liberating these pages, and imagine digitizing them, right? And then storing them in a vast, interconnected global repository. Think of it as a massive iTunes, right, for book-type content, okay? And then take that material and imagine making it all open so that people can modify it, play with it, improve it. Imagine making it free so that anyone in the world can have access to all of this knowledge. And imagine using information technology so that you can update this content, improve it, play with it on a time scale that's more on the order of seconds instead of years, okay? Instead of the editions coming out every 2 years of a book, imagine it coming out every 25 seconds, okay? So imagine we could do that, and imagine we could put people into this, right? So that we can truly build an ecosystem with not just authors, but all the people who could be or want to be authors in all the different languages of the world. And I think if you could do this, it would be called, well, I'm just going to refer to it as a knowledge ecosystem. Okay, so really, this is the dream. And in a sense, what you can think of it is we're trying to enable anyone in the world, I mean anyone in the world, to be their own educational DJ, creating educational materials, sharing them with the world, constantly innovating on them. Okay, so this is the dream. In fact, this dream is actually being realized, right? Over the last 6.5 years, we've been working really hard at Rice University in a project called Connections. And so what I'd like to do for the rest of the talk is just tell you a little bit about what people are doing with Connections, which you can kind of think of as the counterpoint to Nicholas Negroponte's talk yesterday, where they're working on the hardware of bringing education to the world. We're working on the open source tools and the content. Okay, so that's sort of to put it in perspective here. Okay, so create. So what are some of the people that are using these kind of tools? Well, the first thing is there's a community of engineering professors from Cambridge to Kyoto who are developing engineering content in electrical engineering to develop what you could think of as a massive super textbook, right, that covers the entire area of electrical engineering, and not only that, can be customized for use in each of their own individual institutions. Okay? It's people like Kitty Jones, right, a shutout. Okay, private music teacher and mom from Champaign, Illinois, who wanted to share her fantastic music content with the world on how to teach kids how to play music. Her material is now used over 600,000 times per month. Okay, tremendous, tremendous use. In fact, a lot of this use coming from United States K through 12 schools, because anyone who's involved in as schools scale back, the first thing that's cut is the music curriculum. And so this is just indicating the tremendous thirst for this kind of open, free content. A lot of teachers are using this stuff. Okay, what about ripping? What about copying, reusing, right? A team of volunteers at the University of Texas El Paso, graduate students, translating this engineering super textbook ideas, and within about a week, having this be some of our most popular material in widespread use all over Latin America, and in particular in Mexico. Okay, because of the open, extensible nature of this. People, volunteers, and even companies that are translating materials into Asian languages like Chinese, Japanese, and Thai to spread the knowledge even further. Okay, what about people who are mixing? What does mixing mean? Mixing means building customized courses, means building customized books. Okay, companies like National Instruments who are embedding very powerful interactive simulations into the material so that we can go way beyond a regular kind of textbook to an experience that all the teaching materials are things you can actually interact with and play around with and actually learn as you do. Okay? We've been working with Teachers Without Borders who are very interested in mixing our materials. They're going to be using Connections as their platform to develop and deliver teaching materials for teaching teachers how to teach in 84 countries around the world. TWB is currently in Iraq training 20,000 teachers supported by USAID. And to them, this idea of being able to remix and customize to the local context is extraordinarily important, because just providing free content to people has actually been likened by people in the developing world to a kind of cultural imperialism. That if you don't empower people with the ability to recontextualize the material, translate it into their own language, and take ownership of it, it's not good. Okay. Other organizations we've been working with, UC Merced. People know about UC Merced. It's a new university in California in the Central Valley, working very closely with community colleges. They're actually developing a lot of their science and engineering curriculum to spread widely around the world in our system, and they're also trying to develop all of their software tools completely open source. We've been working with AMD, which has a project called 50 by 15, which is trying to bring internet connectivity to 50% of the world's population by 2015. We're going to be providing content to them in a whole range of different languages. And we've also been working with a number of other organizations, in particular a bunch of the projects that are funded by Hewlett Foundation, who have taken a real leadership role in this area of open content. Okay, burn. I think this is sort of quite interesting. Burn is the idea of trying to create the physical instantiation of one of these courses. And I think a lot of you received, I think all of you received one of these music books in your gift pack. Well, present for you. Just tell you quickly about it. This is an engineering textbook. It's about 300 pages long. Okay, hardbound. This costs, anybody guess? How much would it cost in a bookstore? $65. Okay, this costs $22 to the student. Okay? Why does it cost $22? Because it's published on demand and it's developed from this repository of open materials. Okay? If this book were to be published by a regular publisher, it would cost at least $122. Okay? So what we're seeing is moving this burning or publication process from the regular sort of single author authored book towards community authored materials that are modular, that are customized to each individual class and published on demand very inexpensively, either